Mixtape Addict. Mr. Edit, you bitch, I've been grinding.
Yeah, you know, the Mixtape Addict show, you know, Shortkut show, in the house once again. And you know, you've seen his face before. If you're familiar with Mixtape Addict, you know what the guy is. You know, for a part 2 special interview, I'm with my homie, you know, SYMPL MC in the house. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Good to link with you again.
It's my turn to spit words, so listen closely. If you're down with full blast, homie, then you knows me. From Monday to the Monster Wreck Shop, we rock them all. Took the show coast to coast, that's how we roll. Everybody living in America, let them take it from the tap, cause cancer. Half of this country's ready to die. There's too many people anyway, wonder why.
Lots happened since the last time we talked, so here we are. It's almost a year later, man. I think we talked right before I left for the last tour.
I think so, yeah. It was almost a year later, I think. And I remember I asked you who was your favorite DJ, and you told me it was DJ Scientist.
Yeah, man. He's I mean, he's good people's, man, and it's like it's good to see the culture of turntablism, of DJing, like real DJing. You know what I'm saying? You got dudes that's like they can play a playlist and you get Serato track there. I mean, I'm about to go on this tour and I'm about to play rapper sets, but I still don't call myself a DJ because I know what that is. It's like disc jockeying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Scientist is still hands down like my favorite DJ in the world right now.
Okay, good shit, man. Shout out to Scientist, bro. Let me ask you, man, you know, you sent me your album, you know, I heard it. Shit is fire, you know, I like the musicality that you're bringing. So, you know, tell the people, you know, about it, the story behind the album, you know.
Well, you know, I've been MCing for, you know, since the late 90s. And when I first got into things, I got into it in the electronic end of things. You know, raves were popping off in the Southeast United States, and I was like MCing after parties over drum and bass and, you know, new school breaks. And so a lot of influence came from, I grew up in the golden era of hip hop. So I grew up on boom bap and, you know, all of that stuff. But then, you know, as far as like MCing, I got more into MCing in the electronic scene and, you know, raves and, you know, a lot of the sounds that came from that, like the heavier bass, you know, the arpeggiated synthesizers, you know, all of that sort of thing. And, you know, faster tempos, more energy. Then, you know, it's like some boom bap stuff is, you know, be kind of like 80, 90 BPM. And then I'm like rocking over twice that speed on, you know, drum and bass, which is honestly, it's the same speed, you know what I'm saying? So it still has the kind of flow. Anyway, during the pandemic, you know, everything's shut down and all that stuff, and you know, everybody's kind of like internalized with their artistic stuff, and you know, I got into you know, making beats, you know, initially on GarageBand. It's free software, and you know, and I still don't know how to sample, you know what I'm saying? So I play everything out, you know, I'm playing the instruments and, you know, touchscreen or whatever.
Less problems for you.
What's that? Less
problems for you, bro.
Yeah. Well, that's what, you know what I mean? And that was the thing too, is like with sample clearances and you know, like logistically, you know, it would free me up to do some more things. But I made a project and it was okay. And, you know, and then I kind of like, I hit a low point. I was kind of telling you about this before we started recording. And I was honestly, I was real depressed. I was going through some things and, you know, some personal stuff with, you know, family and, you know, and I just delved into like, you know, making a beat, you know, and then making another beat and making another beat. And then I had a collection of joints that I felt like, you know, there was some heart behind it. And a few of those I added some lyrics to, and, you know, and then that's where it came from. And I think the title of the album came from, most of the writing was done, you know, when we were all on quarantine. We weren't seeing each other. We weren't, you know, so it was a very introspective sort of thing, which is, you know, hence the name of the title. It's my world and you're just listening to it.
Bag it up for the people to buy. You can cop it all right here. I like that. I get the good for the low. Smoking don't move the work, kid, now that you know. It's only proper that I
Yeah, man. Yeah, the pandemic, you know, was a crazy fucking moment, man. You know, we all hated that, but at the same time, for artists like you know, like me and you and every other artist in the world, I think you know it was not really different because we're studio rats. You know, I think that shit made more music, write more lyrics. And I've seen DJs like you know, famous DJs in France, you know, like they went back to their crates, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have anything to do, no shows, anything. So
Yeah.
went back to the crates, you know, and got their hands on records that they didn't hear for like 20 years, you know.
And
So,
man, that whole thing, it gave rise to what you and I are doing right now. You know, the Zoom, like live stream, you know, music and you know, shows. And I think, you know, it opened the door for like, you know, like you're sitting in France, I'm sitting in South Carolina.
Yep.
And you know, yeah, we're here again, man.
yeah, man, that's what it's about, you know. Mixtape Addict, man. You know, we built the bridge between the US and France, man. So have you heard any European hip hop, you know, some shit from outside the US since we talked last year?
Man, I'm loving the new Dope D.O.D. You know, you familiar with Dope D.O.D?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's right up my alley, man. That's those like raw, you know, kind of shit. Like I've been rocking with them and Foreign Beggars. I've been rocking with that sound for a long time, man. And to hear the stuff that they got with the new stuff they got with Onyx.
Shake 'em up, wake 'em from the dead. Shine 'em up, half a bald head. You'll break a fucking leg trying to kick it with us. I'll rip your skinny jean limbs off and piss on your Uggs. Now wake the
Is like, it's monstrous, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, man. It's like you know, a while ago, man, I had a system put in my car, so I got a sub, and you know, it knocks and you know, all that stuff, and it changed, honestly, man, it changed a lot of the music that I was listening to, you know what I mean? So like I'm like looking for stuff that has the dynamics of, you know, carrying a low end, which also, like, you know, and then it's kind of like all of these things happen at the same time with, you know, me building a studio and making my own beats, and then, you know, getting the system put in my car, which was, again, that was just the justification for that was like, okay, I'm making beats, I need to be able to listen to what, you know, whatever. But it changed, like, you know, as I'm listening to like a lot of sampled hip hop, some of that stuff is like, it doesn't have the dynamics that I'm really looking for, you know. And at the same time, a lot of electronic music doesn't have lyrics on it because sonically it's like there's so much going on. Lyrics kind of get lost in that, muddled in that, you know what I mean?
That's why I fuck with your shit, because you mix both genres and make it sound dope. Like you said, you give space, you know, in the electronic beat, you know, and the dubstep vibe sometimes, but you give, you know, space for you to rap on it. You know, it's not something that's easy to do.
Well, I think it's, and dude, I think it's just from the pedigree, man. It's like I started as an MC. I started as writing rhymes, and you know, as I was performing, and I'm looking at, you know, electronic tracks, and you know, sometimes working with electronic DJs and producers. One of my homies a long time ago told me, he was like, and I was like rocking with him. We were doing a lot of drum and bass sets. He's like, yo, man, we were practicing at his crib. He stops the record. He's like, hey, look, as an MC, I need you to shut the fuck up sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's what he said, but it was like, what it meant was there's going to be times in the track where, you know, there's going to be a drop. There's going to be like an open space for you to come in and like get busy. And then there's going to be a buildup where you need to shut up and let that, like, let those elements kind of breathe.
Yep.
And it changed the approach ever since then on, on how I approach even hip hop boom bap beats. It's like I let it breathe, and sometimes it's like it's not what you're saying, it's like when you're not saying, it's the space in between.
Yeah, real shit, man. Like, you know, every producer know that it's really hard to make a simple beat, but a really effective beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, with not really too many elements in it to give enough space, you know, for the MC to fill in the blanks and everything. You know, that's a true art form, man. And if you could, you know, like give me like the top 3 groups that influenced you in terms not in terms of pure MCing, but you know, mixing those genres like you're doing now.
Oh man, so first off the bat, I gotta shout out my man A+. did a tour with him last spring, him and Elder Sensei, and you know he's always been one of my favorite producers. Like, you know, 93 to Infinity was like that stayed in my homie's tape deck. I think I probably own that album more than any other album I've ever owned in my life. You know, and it got stolen, I got it again. It got lost, got broken, wore it out, whatever. And it's like, you know, to see kind of what he did with production back then, and then kind of where he's taken things kind of through the years. He's delved into a lot of like crossover electronic stuff, and then, you know, he's got projects like Molly's Dirty Water, and the Compound 7 stuff. And a lot of those beats have those dynamics, have those low end dynamics that that I kind of look for. You know, you said top 3, so yeah, A+ probably top. A+ top. You know, other production that I really like is, you know, I love Ganja White Night. I had a partner with Lifted. We were throwing like electronic shows here in this area. That was one of like the bucket list, like, and they were just starting coming out. We're like just dropping singles then, but we were like, that sound of like, it does have that kind of low dubsteppy, you know, EDM kind of stuff, but it's so clean that they found a balance where it's like, and I think it all comes back to the engineering. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Ganja White Night, another one of my favorites. And I think one of the first artists I ever heard like getting really, really big with that sort of sound was Pretty Lights. Okay. You know, and his stuff almost became like popish, but that was one of the first kind of like, you know, where it was like, it wasn't quite hip hop. It wasn't sort of like all electronic. It was like this like medium, you know what I mean? Like you could rock over it. You could, you know, and I still work some of his stuff into, you know, into my live sets, you know?
Hell yeah, man. That's some good shit. And when I heard the album, you know, I heard some, you know, movie ambience, you know what I'm saying? Like some shit that I could hear in a movie or a TV show or whatever. Now, are you planning on, you know, getting placements on with your beat music?
I want to, man. Like the marketing, you know, so like there's a few levels to, you know, creating a project, as you know. It's like there's the creation, you're making the beat, and that's real personal. No one else is there when you're making that beat. And then you got dudes that are gonna rhyme over stuff, and then it becomes a collaborative kind of thing, and that part's kind of fun, and you're mixing it. But then it goes into the marketing end, and some people, I used to hate that shit. It's like, I gotta do a photo shoot, I gotta do da-da-da, like that's corny. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna rock and like put my music out. But then there's an artistry to marketing as well. And I think that one of the benefits is that because I'm not using samples, man, I'm playing everything. You know what I'm saying? So like any of that stuff is game for, you know, for video games, for movies, you know, any of that shit. I'm gonna do anything for sample clearances, nothing. Yeah. You know?
Exactly, bro. Fuck them problems, you know. You got the gift to create music without, you know, sampling. So that's a true gift, my man. So you gotta, you know, focus on that, because you got some great shit. I'm telling you, bro.
Thanks, man.
Let me ask you a question, you know, about music and movies. Like, if you could like go back in the past and make the original soundtrack for a movie, what movie would that be?
Oh man, look. So a long time ago, my homie was he was going to recording school in Tennessee, a spot outside of Nashville, and he took us into the studios that were in their college. And one of the classes, I guess, was sound scoring. So they had this big ass control board, you know, control board and stuff, and they're in there, like their project was to redo the soundtrack for Terminator. So it was like the scene where the robots are coming in, the lasers, and they're remaking all that shit from like field recordings, like filtering this and this to make it. And then their assignment was to like overlay and make that, you know, make that sound score.
That's super interesting right there, man. When you master those skills right there, you tell me like you can, you know what I'm saying, gotta tweak the sound effects, you know, tweak the frequency, make the shit sound dope. That's real hard work. It's harder than just, you know, doing the mixing and mastering for a song, you know. The movie. Yeah,
and I mean, this album, man, we one of the other things I did that was kind of like I wanted to go outside of the box with was we we mixed everything in analog. It was all mixed onto reel to reel, and one of the things that enabled that to, enabled us to do with that is there's certain, and again, I'm just a student, so like what I'm saying is like not fact. This is my understanding of the information I was given. But analog is sort of, there's these parameters, so it can't go above or below what your ear can hear, whereas digital, it's like you don't have those. So a lot of times what happens is in post-production is everything's compressed so that it does fit to where you can hear. But with analog, it's like you're limited to that, which you say the word limit, it's like, oh well, that's only da da da, but at the same time it makes, in theory, I'd hope that it would make the sound more organic, that it wouldn't be all volume, all like boom 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 boom, but allow it to have space and like
it's all about frequencies. The machines, the old school machines, they treat the frequencies differently than the software that we have now.
And I mean, I liked the engineer Josh Terrell that went through and worked with me on this project. Because like I said, I did another album that was sort of self-produced. I didn't really like push it out because it was just like a bedroom project. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to mix. I really didn't know how to make beats. I just did a thing, and it sounded washed out as hell. So I took this project to my man's, and he was like, I was able to separate some of the elements a little bit more, and he taught me from the ground up. He's like, okay, this over here overlaps, is sort of where he was telling me. And one of the places where I learned that like a lot of electronic music has a certain there's a certain frequency where the vocals sit, that in electronic music, there's production there, there's like a flute there, or there's another element there that's going to clash with a vocal. You know what I mean? So there was some things where it was like sitting down with him, I was able to understand, and then seeing on the board what's happening as we're manipulating this and that, and so I've kind of feel like it's like I went to music school, like mixing this project with him. So
I think it's the most important thing, because I've been telling dudes all the time, some dudes, they want to come in the game, young guys, they buy expensive shit, bro, like the most expensive shit that you can think about, man, the most expensive mixers, speakers, headphones, whatever. But man, it's all about the engineering skill that you have. It's all about your ear. Creating the music or recording, it's easy, The hardest part is when you come to mixing the vocals, like you're saying, tweak the frequencies, find which instrument is not going to mess up the vocals. That's a science, my man. Like, it's the most important thing, I think.
A lot of it gets lost in presets, man. It's like, and not to knock any of that, man, because it makes it easy, dude. Like, you're like, okay, I got my vocals recorded, like, boom, but like, why is it doing that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And so one of the things I learned with like, just to give you an example, was like a lot of electronic production has side chaining, which allows like your low end subs and your at the same time your kick drum to hit separately from each other, so they're not like drowning each other out. That's my girl. Say hi, Laura. So I was explaining that to my engineer. I'm like, yeah, this is side chaining. He's like, well, in funk bands, like they didn't have side chaining. You know what I'm saying? Funk bands, the bass player would come in like a little half second after that kick. And that was their timing. It was like he wasn't coming in on the one, he was coming in right after I was like, it was like, oh snap. So I don't know how to sidechain, but I know how to adjust the attack on the bass. You know what I'm saying? And
the same, like, you don't need to do the side chain if you know how to place everything together the right way. It's gonna sound the same.
Yeah, and I remember I was in the van with with A+. We were on tour in the spring, and I was, so I'm asking questions, man. I'm like, this is one of my favorite producers. I'm riding across the country with them. I'm like, yeah, so what is this? And and I mentioned that, he's kind of like, he's got a sparkle in his eye, kind of giggled. I'm like, all right, okay, I'm on the right track here,
Yeah. And if you can go back in the past and think about like a top 3 album or your favorite album, but in terms of mixing and mastering quality.
Man, like album wise, like, and it can't even be done anymore, but stuff like De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising.
Mary had a little lamb.
That's a fib. She had 2 twins though and 1 crib. Now she's only 14. What a start, but this effect is crown common in these parts. Now life in this world can be such a bitch, and dreams are often torn and shattered and hard to stitch.
The way that it was, you know, in Prince Paul, like anything Prince Paul does, like the way that these are like, they're like quilts, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, by the end of that, yeah, you've read a book, you've watched a movie. It's like a whole journey. Everything, Dan the Automator's like really ill like that. The stuff that he did with Dell, you know, the Deltron projects and stuff.
Yo, it's 3030. I want y'all to meet Deltron Zero, hero, not no small feat. It's all heat in this day and age. I'll rage your grave, anything it takes to save the day.
Hey, yo, tell the people also about the live show that you're doing, man. You know, because
So, man, like, we're next week. I head out. The album drops next week. And I'm going to be on doing Tour for Life with Full Blast Booking. This is the 2nd year we've done it. Last year was ill, man. We had Cappadonna, Brother Ali, Acrobatic, Pace One, and I'm just pulling out of the, you know, who was the other? Ritz, Copyright. This year we've got, you know, Ghostface Killers headlining it. We've got Raw Digga, Pace One, Young Z. There's El the Sensei, Afro, All Flows Reach Out. It's been a while since I've seen him. What's that?
Afro is nice, man.
Yeah, man. As far as like the younger generation of MCs that are kind of coming out, him and Dizzy Wright, who's also on the tour, like these 2 dudes are like, I feel like they're pushing the boundary in a lyrical way, in a way that's like, you know, it's true to the culture, but it's new. It's like, it's brand new the way they're flowing. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the Dizzy Wright video where he's dressed like a cowboy and everything?
Give me everything you got, your hat, your shoes, your wallet, your watch, taking over, and honestly, I don't know how to be stopped, yo. And I got 6 shots, the coldest out most definitely, and I'm surrounded by outlaws.
Man, I've had this album I've been like a flamingo with my head in the dirt. Like, I haven't really been able to, like, I'm just now, like, as my shit's coming out, I'm like I was telling you, the dope D.O.D. project came out in 2021. I just heard it like last week, so that's why I'm like,
yeah, so yo, what can we wish for you, man? You know the album is dropping, but what are you gonna do after that?
So, you know, after that, like, so with the album and the tour and all this stuff sort of rolled in together. I'm working with brand Pistols in Paradise. It's just they're going to be riding with me, doing some exclusive merchandising on the tour, you know. And afterwards, man, we've got another video that's coming out, pushing a couple things from the single. But then I'm going to be focused on some upcoming events, some festival events I've got coming up that I don't want to speak too much on. But they're like, it's some pretty dope stuff coming up in the Southeast U.S. So, but yeah, other than that, man, it's like trying to get the music out to the people, man. Like we were talking about earlier, getting these songs that I've created. I'm gonna be putting the instrumentals out eventually, and yeah, man, video games, movies, like all that sort of thing. It's like, I don't have sample clearances. I don't have a split sheet on this, dude.
Exactly. You're free to do everything, man, because you rap, you make your own beats, and you mix and master your shit, bro. So
I don't mix and master. Like that part, I definitely turn that part over.
You're still learning. Okay.
I'll be there. I'll be like, when we have the sessions, I'm watching, I'm asking questions, and the sessions probably take twice as long because I'm like, you know, like this. But that's why, man, I want to be able to sit back and like do exactly what I've been wanting to do, because all these sounds, man, this is stuff that like, this is what I looked for in, you know, which isn't to say that I don't still like want to work with outside producers, because it's like I'm as an MC, I'm storytelling to like these like soundscapes. But as far as me and like what I'm making, and you know, it's like I got a definite direction. So like I probably got 50-60 beats that are like new after this project. So,
and we got some shit coming together too, man. We gotta tell the people too.
Yeah, man. You know, we've been talking for a while. I've been checking my man's beats out forever, and you know, you got like, you're keyed into the sound of hip hop. Like when I hear your beats, it's like a backpack, you know what I'm saying, headphones, like, you know, walking around, like that's that whole feel and vibe and everything. So I told him, I was like, all these tracks, man, like for the first time in my musical career, I've got control over the beats that I've been working on. So I have all of the stems. I've got all the, you know, all the elements that I use to make these things. I sent him the whole package. We're gonna see what you do. Like, you know, take what you want, man. It's like, you may use all of it, none of it. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna revisit one of these songs and
remix.
Yeah. Well, I think remix is like I want to do like a remake. I say like a remix is like a remake. Like, let's just reinterpret the whole song. You know.
You know, put that French touch on it, bro. So yeah, do you have any advice for the young upcoming MCs? You know, to finish the interview, man. You gotta tell the young.
I just say, like, and I mean, I'm 45 and I'm still putting music out and I'm still excited about putting music out. And I still got opportunities opening up for me. So it's like, there's no timeline on the artistic process. So don't be in a rush to like get on and this and just look and see what everybody else is doing and then do what they're doing. And, you know, cause there is that, and then there's that wave you can come in on. But just like the whole point of what we've been saying through this whole interview is like, everything that we have in us as artists has kind of already been there. We're just learning better ways to express it. So take your time, you know, study the people that have come before you, learn the lessons that they learned so you don't have to go through some things, and, and just take your time, man. Make good art.
Real shit. Make sure y'all listen up, everybody that's watching, man. Yeah. Do you have any last words, man, for the people that interview until the end?
Yeah, SYMPL. I'm super easy to find, man. It's like SYMPL. It's like YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. I got a brand new album coming out. The cover art, I gotta mention, is done by John Hairston, which I'm super excited to like rock with once again. I just gotta tell you about that, man. Like, years ago, when I was doing all those tours with Dell and Cappadonna and all that shit, when I would go through Charlotte, I would holler at John. And I'd seen his work before we would come through town and stuff. And he would come out to the shows and paint. And he did a tour poster I did with Dell and Ladybug Mecca. He did another, and I'll send you those. And he did a tour poster I did with Cappadonna. So like, I've been a fan of his, and this is like almost 10 years ago. I've been a fan of his before we ever worked together. But then, you know, he did my homie 23 Skidoo's children's album, which he won a Grammy for. You know, so, and then tons of murals all over Charlotte. I mean, he's an incredible, All City Studios, incredible artist. But he did the album cover, so I was like super stoked to work with him again.
Classic b-boy stuff, but also a little something different, you know?
Rock to it, yeah, turn the volume up a notch and just rock to it.
It was like one of these like full circle things, so.
That's dope, man. You gotta have creative people like that, you know, around your side, man. That's good shit, man.
So till next time, man. And I mean, this is, we're locked in now, man.
Yeah, we're locked in, bro. You know, we here, you know, we talk to each other, you know. Sometimes I send you some shit when I think maybe you gonna fuck with it. Boom, I send it to you. You know, we keep in touch all the time. That's how we do it, man. That's what Mixtape Addict is about, too. You know, it's not only just about doing interviews like that. You know, a lot of people do that, actually. But it's different with us, you know. We really create a connection, and sometimes it ends up with people from the States coming here to France, doing some shows. Like
you're doing, yeah, and you got yours. When is that?
I got mine October 1st. It's a Saturday. Black Stacks from Seattle, USA. They coming out there in France, you know. They're gonna rock with us, and Cheesecake Sanka, my artist out there in France. You know, we working, man. And I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, and link them with me, man. Like, you know, because I'm in the Southeast. They're in Chicago, and they come back. It's like, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll tell them about that. And we gotta come to the States with my artists too, man. We gotta make some shit happen. You know, I'll keep you posted. You know, gotta make some moves, man. Get the passport ready. But thanks for taking the time to come through in the Mixtape Addict Shortkut show, bro. Appreciate you, my man, and take care, bro.